My brother asked to borrow my car to go to a job interview. That was 6 weeks ago. He never returned it. I reported it stolen. Police found it yesterday. It was sold to a dealership 3 states away for $8,000. My brother never had a job interview. He sold my car and used the money for a vacation with his friends. He thought I wouldn't find out. I'm 28F, and I genuinely don't know if I'm living in reality anymore. This whole situation is so insane that I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and it'll have been a nightmare. But nope, it's real. And I'm furious. So here's the background. I have a 2019 Honda Civic that I bought brand new with my own money. I saved for 2 years to afford it. It's my baby. I take care of it, keep up with maintenance, the whole thing. It only has 42,000 miles on it because I work from home most days and don't drive much. That car is my freedom and my pride. My brother Tyler is 25. He's always been kind of a mess, but I've always tried to help him out because that's what family does, right? He's bounced between jobs, crashed on my couch more times than I can count, borrowed money he never pays back. But he's my little brother and I love him, so I keep giving him chances. 6 weeks ago, Tyler called me panicking. Said he had a job interview the next morning for a really good position at a marketing firm downtown. His car had broken down the week before and was in the shop. He begged me to let him borrow mine just for the interview. He promised he'd have it back to me by noon. I was hesitant because Tyler's not exactly responsible, but a job interview seemed important. And honestly, I wanted him to finally get his life together. So I said yes. I gave him my car keys, made him promise to be careful, and told him to text me when he was on his way back. He left with my car at 8 a.m. Noon came and went. No text. I called him around 1 p.m. and it went straight to voicemail. I figured maybe the interview ran long or he stopped to grab lunch. I tried not to worry. By 6 p.m. I was calling him every 20 minutes. Voicemail every time. I texted him repeatedly. Nothing. I called our mom and she hadn't heard from him either. I started to panic. What if he got in an accident? What if something happened to him? The next day, still nothing. No calls, no texts, no sign of Tyler or my car. I filed a missing person report because at that point I was genuinely scared something bad had happened. The police took my info but said unless there was evidence of foul play, adults can go missing voluntarily and there's not much they can do immediately. 3 days after he borrowed my car, Tyler finally texted me. Just, sorry, something came up. I'll explain later. That was it. No explanation of where he was, where my car was, nothing. I called him immediately and he didn't answer. I was relieved he was alive, but now I was getting angry. Where the heck was my car? I kept trying to reach him over the next week. He'd occasionally respond to texts with vague stuff like, I'll get it back to you soon, or don't worry about it. But he wouldn't tell me where he was or when I'd get my car back. He wouldn't answer my calls. After 2 weeks, I told him if he didn't return my car immediately, I was reporting it stolen. He sent back, you wouldn't do that to your own brother. Wanna bet? At the 3-week mark, I went to the police station and filed a stolen vehicle report. I explained the situation, that I'd loaned my car to my brother for a few hours and he'd refused to return it for 3 weeks despite multiple demands. The officer said that because I'd given him permission initially, it was a bit complicated, but since I'd made clear demands for its return and he'd refused, it could be classified as theft or embezzlement of a vehicle. They took my report, got my VIN and license plate info, and entered it into their system. They said they'd keep an eye out, but that recovery could take time, especially if he'd driven it out of state. I also called my insurance company. They said I needed to wait 30 days from the theft report before they could start a claim. Cool. Great. My car was just gone, and I had to wait a month to even start getting any kind of help. I had to borrow my roommate's car to get groceries. I had to Uber to the few places I actually needed to go in person. It was expensive and inconvenient, and I was getting angrier every single day. Tyler stopped responding to my texts entirely once I told him I'd reported it stolen. My mom called me crying, saying I was being too harsh and that Tyler was family and I shouldn't have involved the police. I told her Tyler stole my car and she needed to stop enabling him. That didn't go over well. Yesterday, 6 weeks after Tyler borrowed my car for a job interview, I got a call from a detective. They'd located my car. It was at a used car dealership in Arizona. I live in Oregon. My car was 3 states away. The detective explained that the dealership had run the VIN during a routine check and it popped as stolen. They contacted police, and here we are. I asked how the heck my car ended up at a dealership in Arizona. The detective said it appeared someone had sold it to them. They paid $8,000 cash for it about 5 weeks ago. 5 weeks ago. Tyler sold my car 1 week after borrowing it. I felt like I was going to throw up. The detective said they'd be investigating further and would be in touch. He also said I could come pick up my car from the dealership once they processed everything, but I'd need to get to Arizona to get it. They weren't going to transport it back for me. I immediately called Tyler. For once, he actually answered. Did you sell my car? I didn't even say hello. Silence. Tyler, did you sell my car to a dealership in Arizona? More silence. Then, how did you find out? I lost it. I started yelling at him. He sold my car. My car. The car I bought with my own money that I loaned him out of kindness, and he sold it and pocketed the cash. He tried to justify it. Said he needed money. Said the job interview fell through and he was stressed. Said his friend Mason suggested they take a road trip to clear his head, and he didn't have any money, so he made a quick decision. A quick decision. He made a quick decision to sell my car and use the money to go on vacation with his buddies. I asked him where the $8,000 was. He said it was gone. They'd spent it on the road trip, hotels, food, going out. He said they went to Vegas, and he lost some of it gambling. He said he was planning to win more and buy my car back before I found out. This man sold my car, went on a multi-state vacation, gambled away the money, and thought he was going to somehow win it back gambling more, and I'd never know. I told him he was insane. He said he was sorry and he'd pay me back eventually. I told him the police knew everything and he was probably going to be arrested. He started panicking then, asking if I could call it off, saying he didn't mean for it to go this far, that he just needed a break from his life. I hung up on him. My mom called me an hour later. Tyler had called her crying. She tried to tell me I was ruining his life by involving police. I told her Tyler ruined his own life by committing multiple crimes. She said, he's your brother. How can you do this to him? I told her he sold my car without my permission, committed fraud, and left me without a vehicle for 6 weeks while he partied across the country with money he got from stealing from me. She said I was being dramatic and that family forgives family. I'm not forgiving this. The detective called me back this evening. Tyler's going to be charged with unauthorized use of a vehicle and possibly fraud, depending on how the investigation goes. The dealership is cooperating fully and is actually pretty upset that they bought a stolen vehicle, even unknowingly. I have to fly to Arizona on Friday to get my car. The dealership is being cool about it and said they'd have it ready for me. I have to rent a car to drive from the airport to the dealership, pick up my car, then drive it back to Oregon. It's going to be a whole thing. Tyler's facing criminal charges. My mom's not speaking to me. Half my family thinks I'm being too harsh and should have just worked it out with Tyler privately. But here's the thing. Tyler sold my car. Not borrowed it too long. Not accidentally damaged it. He sold it for cash and spent that cash on a vacation. How is that something you just work out? I'm still in shock. I keep thinking about how he answered my calls those first few days acting like everything was fine while he was literally in the process of selling my car. The level of betrayal is unreal. Update 4 days later. Quick update because people have been asking and because more insane stuff happened. I flew to Arizona on Friday, like I said. Got a rental car, drove to the dealership, and picked up my car. The dealership manager was actually super nice about the whole thing. He said they felt terrible and that they'd been scammed too. Apparently Tyler had forged some documentation to make it look like the car was his to sell. The manager gave me copies of everything for the police investigation. My car was fine. Still had my spare sunglasses in the console and everything. It was surreal to just get in and drive away after 6 weeks of not knowing where it was. I drove the 15 hours back to Oregon over 2 days. Had a lot of time to think. Listened to a lot of angry music. Cried a couple times because the betrayal was really hitting me. When I got back Sunday night, there were a dozen missed calls from my mom and a few from Tyler's number. I didn't call back. I was exhausted and didn't want to deal with it. Monday morning, my mom showed up at my apartment. She let herself in with the spare key I gave her for emergencies, which I'm now taking back. She said we needed to talk about Tyler. Turns out he'd been arrested Saturday morning. He's being charged with unauthorized use of a vehicle and fraud for the forged documents. My mom was hysterical. She said I needed to drop the charges, that Tyler couldn't go to jail, that it would ruin his life. I told her I can't just drop charges, it's not up to me anymore. It's up to the prosecutor. She said I could refuse to cooperate with the investigation and they'd have to drop it. I said I wasn't doing that. She called me heartless. Said I was choosing a car over my brother. I said Tyler chose a vacation over his sister and committed multiple crimes in the process. She left crying. Then Tyler called me from jail. He was allowed 1 phone call, and he used it on me instead of a lawyer, which shows his priorities. He begged me to help him. Said he was sorry, that he made a mistake, that he didn't think it through. I asked him what he thought was going to happen. Did he really think he'd gamble $8,000 into enough money to buy back a car he'd already sold? Did he think I'd just never find out? He said he wasn't thinking clearly. Said he'd been depressed and felt trapped in his life and made bad decisions. He said going on the trip with Mason and their friends was supposed to help him figure things out. I told him I was sorry he was depressed, but that didn't give him the right to steal from me. He started crying and saying he couldn't survive jail. I said he should have thought of that before committing crimes. Then I hung up. I feel like a jerk, but also I don't. Like, I'm sad for him because he's my brother, and I don't want him to suffer. But also he sold my car. He looked me in the eye. I handed him my keys, trusting him, and he drove off and sold it for vacation money. My dad called me yesterday. My parents have been divorced since we were kids, and my dad lives across the country, but he heard about all this from my mom's sister, my aunt who loves family drama. My dad said Tyler's always been irresponsible, but this crossed a line, and I shouldn't feel guilty for holding him accountable. That actually made me feel a bit better. The insurance company is being weirdly difficult about the whole thing. They're trying to say that because I voluntarily gave Tyler the keys initially, some of my coverage doesn't apply. I'm fighting them on it, but it's adding stress I don't need. My roommate has been amazing through all of this. She keeps reminding me that I didn't do anything wrong and that Tyler made his choices. A few of my family members have reached out to tell me I'm doing the right thing. My cousin said Tyler's been pulling stuff like this his whole life and everyone just lets him get away with it because that's just how Tyler is. She said it's about time someone held him accountable. But then other family members are calling me cruel and saying I'm going to regret this when Tyler's in prison. He's not going to prison. Probably just probation if anything, but they're being dramatic. The detective called yesterday with an update. Apparently Tyler wasn't working alone. His friend Mason, the one who suggested the road trip, has a history of fraud. The detective thinks Mason might have been the one who knew how to forge the documents and encouraged Tyler to sell the car. They're investigating Mason too now. Part of me wonders if Tyler got in over his head with the wrong friend. But also, Tyler's an adult. He made these choices. Mason didn't force him to sell my car. Tyler's arraignment is next week. My mom wants me to come and show support. I'm not going. She's furious about that too. I'm trying to just move on with my life. I have my car back. Tyler's facing consequences for what he did. But I feel guilty anyway because he's my brother and I do love him, even though he screwed me over. My mom said I'm destroying the family. But I think Tyler did that when he stole from me. Update, 3 months later. Things have progressed and people keep DMing me asking what happened. So here's where everything stands now. Tyler took a plea deal. He pled guilty to unauthorized use of a vehicle and the fraud charges were dropped as part of the deal. He got 18 months probation, 200 hours of community service, and he has to pay me restitution for my expenses, the flight to Arizona, the rental car, my increased insurance premiums, etc. The total he owes me is around $3,500. He's also not allowed to contact me as part of his probation conditions unless I agree to it. I haven't agreed to it. My mom is still furious with me. She thinks I should have testified on his behalf and asked for leniency. I didn't go to any of the court dates. She's calling it a betrayal. We're not really speaking right now beyond occasional tense text exchanges. My dad's been more supportive. He sent me some money to cover the costs Tyler's supposed to reimburse me for because he said he doubts Tyler will ever actually pay it. He's probably right. Tyler doesn't have a job still and is living with our mom rent-free. The really messed up part? I found out from my cousin that Tyler's been telling people his version of the story. In his version, I overreacted to him borrowing my car for a bit longer than planned, and I got him arrested over nothing. He's telling people he was going to return it, and I reported it stolen prematurely just to be vindictive. He's literally lying to people about selling my car and spending the money on a vacation. My cousin showed me screenshots of Tyler's Facebook posts where he's talking about how he's going through a hard time and dealing with family betrayal, and how some people don't understand forgiveness. The comments are full of people who don't know the full story saying they're sorry he's dealing with that and that family should stick together. It's surreal to watch him play the victim when he's the one who committed fraud. Mason, Tyler's friend who I mentioned before, also got charged with fraud for his role in the whole thing. Apparently, this wasn't his first time doing something like this. He's looking at actual jail time because he's a repeat offender. Tyler got lucky with just probation. I ran into Tyler at a family thing last month, our grandmother's 80th birthday. I couldn't avoid it. He tried to talk to me and I walked away. My mom made a scene about how I was being childish and causing drama at grandma's party. My dad's girlfriend told my mom she was enabling Tyler's behavior, and it turned into a whole argument. Grandma pulled me aside later and said she heard what happened and that I did the right thing. She said when my mom was young, she let my uncle, my mom's brother, get away with all kinds of stuff, and he ended up in serious trouble because no one ever held him accountable. She said she's proud of me for not letting Tyler walk all over me. That actually meant a lot. Tyler's probation officer apparently called me a few weeks ago. I missed the call and didn't call back. to verify some information about the original incident. I guess Tyler's been telling his PO that the whole thing was a misunderstanding too. The detective I worked with initially gave them all the actual documentation, so Tyler's lies aren't working, but it's annoying that he's still trying. My car's fine, by the way. Runs great. I installed a steering wheel lock and I park it in a garage now instead of on the street. I also got a dash cam that records even when the car's off, just in case. I've started to move on from all of this mostly. I still get angry sometimes when I think about it. The betrayal still stings. But I'm building my life back without Tyler in it, and honestly, it's been peaceful. I don't have to worry about him asking to borrow money. I don't have to stress about whether he's going to return something he borrows. I don't have to make excuses for him anymore. My mom says I'm going to regret cutting him off someday. Maybe I will. But right now, I don't regret holding him accountable for stealing from me. Some family members have started to come around to my side as more details have come out. My aunt, mom's sister, initially thought I was being too harsh, but then she talked to the detective and found out the extent of what Tyler did. The forged documents, the gambling, all of it. She called me and apologized for judging me too quickly. Others are still firmly on the "but he's family" train. They think I should forgive and forget because that's what family does. I think family shouldn't steal your car and sell it for vacation money, but what do I know? Tyler's Instagram lately has been full of vague posting about growing through adversity and learning who your real friends are. It's obnoxious, but I don't engage. I unfollowed him everywhere. The restitution payments are supposed to start next month. He's supposed to pay me $150 per month until the $3,500 is paid off. I'm not holding my breath. If he doesn't pay, it's a probation violation and he'll have to deal with his PO about it. Not my problem anymore. Final update 14 months later. This is my final update because everything is now completely resolved and I wanted to give everyone closure on this situation. Tyler completed his probation successfully. It took him the full 18 months, but he did it. He made every single restitution payment on time, all $3,500 paid back in full. He finished his 200 hours of community service. He checked in with his probation officer every week without missing a single appointment. About 6 months into his probation, Tyler got a job at a warehouse. It's not glamorous work, but it's honest and it pays decently. He's still there, actually got promoted to a supervisor position 3 months ago. The biggest change happened about 8 months ago. Tyler showed up at my apartment unannounced. I almost didn't let him in, but he said he just needed 5 minutes and then he'd leave if I wanted him to. He came in and he apologized. Not the half-hearted "sorry you're upset" garbage from before, but a real, genuine apology. He said he'd been going to counseling, mandated by his probation at first, but he continued it on his own after. He said he'd been working through why he made such horrible decisions, and he finally understood the magnitude of what he'd done to me. He didn't make excuses, didn't blame Mason or depression or stress. He said he made a conscious choice to betray my trust, sell my car, and lie about it. He said he'd been selfish and entitled his whole life, and everyone had always cleaned up his messes, so he never learned to be accountable. He said watching me refuse to enable him was the wake-up call he needed, even though it was painful. He said he didn't expect me to forgive him or have a relationship with him, but he wanted me to know that he was genuinely sorry and that he was working hard to become someone worthy of trust again. I didn't forgive him that day, but I told him I appreciated the apology and that I could see he was trying. Over the next few months, Tyler would occasionally text me updates, not asking for anything, not trying to force a relationship. Just letting me know he was doing well, that he'd made another payment, that he got promoted. Small stuff. Then 4 months ago, our grandmother had a health scare. She's okay now, but it was scary for a few days. Tyler and I both spent a lot of time at the hospital. We started talking again, carefully at first. He never pushed, never asked for more than I was willing to give. We started having coffee once a month, then twice a month. He told me about his job, his counseling, how he was rebuilding his life. I told him about my promotion at work, about my boyfriend. We're serious now, actually moved in together. Last month, Tyler made his final restitution payment. He paid the last $150 and sent me a text that just said, "Thank you for not giving up on holding me accountable. It saved my life." We had dinner last week. A real dinner, not just coffee. It was nice. Not like it used to be. I don't think we'll ever have that kind of relationship again. But it was good. My mom is thrilled that we're talking again. She's been crying happy tears and saying she knew we'd work it out. I had to remind her that working it out meant Tyler facing real consequences and doing genuine work to change, not me just sweeping it under the rug. My dad is cautiously optimistic. He said he's proud of me for standing my ground and proud of Tyler for actually doing the work to change. Tyler's relationship with the rest of the family has improved too. People see that he's genuinely different now. He's reliable, he shows up when he says he will, he doesn't ask for money or favors. He's become the kind of person people can count on. Mason, by the way, ended up serving 9 months in jail for his fraud charges. Tyler cut him off completely once he got out. Said he needed to surround himself with better influences. My car is still running perfectly. 61,000 miles now. I still have the steering wheel lock and the dash cam, but mostly out of habit now. It's just my car again. The trauma of what happened has faded into a bad memory rather than an open wound. The insurance company eventually settled with me after I got a lawyer involved. They covered some of my costs, which helped. Here's the thing I learned from all of this. Consequences work. Enabling doesn't. For Tyler's entire life, people had bailed him out, made excuses for him, protected him from the results of his bad choices. And he never changed because he never had to. When I refused to do that, when I reported the car stolen, cooperated with the investigation, let him face criminal charges, it forced him to actually confront who he'd become. And he didn't like it. So he changed. It wasn't immediate. It wasn't easy. It took 18 months of probation, hundreds of hours of community service, counseling, and genuine self-reflection. But he did it. I'm not saying I'm glad he stole my car. I'm not saying the betrayal didn't hurt or that our relationship is magically fixed. But I am saying that holding him accountable was the right choice, even when it was hard, even when my mom was mad at me, even when half the family thought I was being cruel. Tyler needed to hit rock bottom. He needed to face real consequences. And he needed someone to refuse to rescue him from those consequences. I happen to be that person. And as painful as the whole experience was, I think we're both better for it now. We're never going to be as close as we were before. That trust was shattered, and even though we're rebuilding, some cracks are permanent. But we have a relationship now built on honesty and accountability rather than enabling and excuses. And honestly, that's healthier for both of us. Tyler is genuinely doing well. He's been at his job for over a year. He's living in his own apartment now, moved out of mom's place 6 months ago. He's managing his money responsibly. He's become an actual adult. I'm doing well too. My life is good. My relationship is solid. My career is thriving. I have my car. I have peace. And I have my brother back. Not the way he was before, but in a new way that feels more real and more sustainable. So that's the end of the story. Tyler stole my car, sold it for vacation money, got arrested, served probation, paid me back every penny, did genuine work to change, and we eventually rebuilt a relationship. It's not a fairy tale ending, but it's a real one. And sometimes that's better.